First of all, start off with, obviously, you're making your debut this weekend, but you were meant to fight a few weeks back in Belgium. First of all, how disappointed were you that fell through?
Yeah, I was gutted. My manager, Mark, phoned me up, told me that unfortunately, due to board regulations, it wasn't possible to make your debut outside of the UK. So I was pretty disappointing. Mark had actually managed to get me on the undercard or he agreed to get me on the undercard of Lawrence Akoli on the 20th instead, but there just wasn't enough time to get an opponent with everything going on in the COVID situation and stuff. So he came back to me after that kind of didn't happen and told me that I would be fighting on the 10th. And as you can imagine, it was it was amazing to get that news, and it really lifted me after finding out it was cancelled on the 20th.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I didn't realise about the Cody side of things as well. So that's obviously two, sets of frustration there, really, before you've even managed to get in the ring for your pro debut. But is this a bit of a blessing in disguise? Obviously, you're now on a bigger platform than what you possibly may would have been.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Matchroom is one of in my opinion, is the biggest promotional company in the world. So to be making your professional debut on that is, it's exceptional. It's something, I never really dreamed of. I'm ready for it and I'm prepared to grab it with both hands. But at the same time, I'm quite a humble guy. I didn't really expect to be there. So the fact that I'm there, I'm going to go out and do the business and really put on a show and show everybody that I'm not a gimmick, not the rugby playing boxer. I'm here to prove that I'm prepared to step up to that stage, and when I get my chance, take it.
Do you feel any more pressure added to you at all because it's on a bigger stage now?
Listen, I'm used to pressure. I remember playing with Glasgow Warriors and Jersey Reds on Sky Sports, big European games against big teams from, all across Europe, and you feel the same pressure. Obviously, it's a different arena. It's an individual sport. I've not got 14 other men to lean on, but my professional rugby background has prepared me to deal with the pressure. And to be honest, if you don't feel pressure, then you probably shouldn't bother playing sport, because it's what makes you thrive and it's what makes you perform.
You mentioned there, it's an individual sport. What or how much of a big difference is it to be doing this rather than the rugby?
I get asked this question a lot, and it's a great question. The main thing for me is, every fight happens, there's a big space in between almost. So, every single fight's like a pre-season in rugby. It's the same intensity as what a pre-season is. So it's just a lot more intense, a lot harder. In rugby, you're playing every week, so you're just getting ready to play game by game, and it's about turning up on the Saturday. In boxing, everything goes into the week's training. So it's much more intense. They're both very physical sports, and there's obviously a lot of transferred over, but boxing's definitely, the training regime is a lot tougher.
Have you found the transitions? Like you mentioned, obviously it's weekly games in rugby, so throughout the week you're training. Whereas in boxing, obviously you're training in camps up to 12 weeks, so you may have a few months in between where it's not as intense. Have you found that sort of, trying to sort of sit back and not do as much training as you would do usually?
To be honest with you, I'm pretty new to boxing in the grand scheme of things. So I'm always training. I'm always in the gym. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to get the best sparring I can. I'm obviously not young, but I'm not old. I'm 31 years old. So I want to just try and learn and develop as quickly as possible. My manager, Mark's getting me the best sparring he can. He's getting me opportunities like this where I'm going to learn a lot. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just learn as much as possible, train all the time. Obviously enough, you can't train at 100% every week. You need to have your down weeks, but in the grand scheme of things at the moment, I'm trying to, always almost be in camp if I possibly can.
And you mentioned sparring there. There's a picture circulated on social media a few days back, yourself and Anthony Joshua. Talk to me about what's the biggest learnings you've had in the gym and in sparring, whether it be AJ or anybody else.
I never actually sparred Big AJ. I only got an opportunity to get a photo with the big man, but I watched him in training. That was a great experience to see a world level operator, one of the best fighters on the planet, training. But obviously I've been exposed to, been in with Mark McCauley, been in with Big Tommy McCarthy, my stablemate, Niall Kennedy down in Ireland, Mark McCauley, I think I said that. Been in with the GB lads down in Sheffield, Solomon Dacre, Delicious Ori, Courtney Bennett. So I've been exposed, in my short time, and like I said, I've been exposed to, some really top level operators. And I've been in and seen a lot of, I've trained around the world with the Scottish amateur team in Thailand, Russia, Lithuania. So I've been chucked into the deep end considering my experience. And like I say, I think my professional rugby background, my athletic background has helped me be prepared for that. But I thrive on it, and like I say, every day is a learning day, and you just try and take as much in as possible and keep on the upward curve.
Absolutely. The last one from me, obviously you mentioned earlier, you're 31 years old. Are you looking to be fast-tracked? Obviously in the heavyweights, it's the most exciting division in boxing. Are you looking to be fast-tracked? Are you looking for titles? Have you planned a route at all, you think?
I'm 31, but the way I see it, I've always lived the life. I've always been, training. I've always kept myself fit. I think I've got another 7, 8 years at this. Obviously, who knows what can happen, but I'll just leave that up to Mark. I'll leave it up to, like Eddie putting me on shows and stuff like that, like this. And I'll just try and learn as much as possible and go as fast as they tell me to. Talk to my team, my trainers as well. And I'll just get my head down, keep working. But listen, I'm like I said, I'm not here to be a gimmick. I'm here to, mix it up, get involved. The heavyweight division is buzzing at the moment. And I'm happy to get in and mix it up and be a part of that and make a statement and show everybody that, I'm not a gimmick.
Definitely. I see Mark's on the call here as well. Just very quick one for Mark. How excited are you at the potential and the prospect of Nick? You're on mute, Mark, sorry.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
Yeah. No, I've been very, very excited from the day I met Nick, but I did advise him at the time. I said, look, you're a professional sports, like he was at the top level in rugby. Sorry, my dog. Top level in rugby at the World Cup and all that. And then what's happened is he's, I said to him, go away, get as many fights as you can, the amateurs, win or lose, and then we'll have a real go because, I could get you to 10-0 myself, no sweat, but the minute you step up and fight somebody real, you get exposed. So you need to do it the hard way. And that's all I'm interested in. And he took himself away. He won the Scottish novices. Will come back the next year. He won the Scottish intermediates. He came back the next year, won the Scottish elites. So in the 4 years that he had a real good proper go at the amateurs, he's won nearly all he could do. He lost a split decision in the GB final. He's lost split decisions at Delicious Ori. All these top kids have been boxing from a long time. So I'm very, very excited because he's done all this as well. He lives in Jersey and trained himself in Jersey and went over to Scotland, say, a week before a fight, and literally had very little sparring. But now he's here, he's getting the best of everything. And believe me, the improvement has been like that, in the space of like the 3 months that he's moved here to train, and the rounds he's had over 100 rounds with European champions, real top amateurs, everything. So yeah, everyone's in for a big surprise of what they're going to see on Saturday night, and I'm guaranteeing that.
Fantastic. Best of luck for the weekend, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. If you go to Graham next, please.
Hi, Nick. It's Graham from the Herald. How are you?
Graham, how are you doing? All right?
Oh, good. Yeah. Again, it kind of seems surprising that we've never had a Scottish heavyweight British champion ever. Was that something that's a target for you to be the first to have that title?
Listen, you don't get into professional boxing, or in my opinion, you shouldn't get into professional boxing unless you've got aspirations of achieving things. I'm aware of the level that the British title is at the moment. Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois were the last ones to fight for it. Joe Joyce is now going on to world level. Daniel Dubois, no doubt, will be back at world level. So, I know what would be involved in achieving that. But like I say, I got into this to make a statement, and I got into this to have a real proper grow at it. So, that's the cherry or the icing on the cake, kind of. There's never been a Scottish guy before to do it. And that's got to be one of your goals.
What do you kind of think about the state of Scottish boxing in general at the moment? Obviously, Josh is a world champion, Lee McGregor, Cash is on the same card as you on Saturday night. How do you feel about joining that at the moment?
Listen, those guys are right up at the top of the sport just now, Josh Taylor especially. Lee McGregor had a fantastic one at the weekend, and Cash in his last out was, phenomenal. So to even have my name mentioned at the moment with those guys is fantastic. And like I say, there isn't really many big Scottish guys kicking about. So it's exciting times for Scottish boxing. I'm sure there's loads more boys to come through, and the fact that I can try and fly the flag for my country is phenomenal. Something that I've done in rugby and something that I'm busting to do in boxing. So, no, bring it on. Do you know what I mean? That's brilliant.
And just final for me, Nick, any of your old Warriors teammates been in touch, Finn or Richie Gray or any of these guys?
I was on the phone to Big Richie a couple of days ago. Finn messaged me a couple of days ago. Adam Ash, Johnny, John Welsh. I'm still really, keep in touch with all the boys. So they're all buzzing about it. A couple of them are posting stuff online. Ryan Wilson messaged me as well. So all great bunch of boys. All guys I consider proper friends now. So they're all keeping in touch. I'm glad to see they're doing well with the national team and Glasgow Warriors, and just buzzing that they're all involved and interested.
I was going to say they had their big moment in Paris a few weeks ago, so this is your turn now.
Definitely. We'll see. Won't let them down. We'll put it in for the Scots.
Magic. All the best, Nick. Cheers.
Thanks, Graham. If we go to Jake next, please.
Hi, Nick. Jake from the Jersey Evening Post here. How are you?
Jake, how you doing? All right?
Yeah, good, mate. So just tell us a little bit about your roots kind of to Jersey. Obviously, I know you're Scottish born, but you're kind of based in the island. And tell us a little bit about how your background starting amateur boxing over here as well has kind of helped you prepare for your pro debut.
Listen, the islands, a hidden gem in my opinion. There's a lot of talented athletes on the island. They're talking about the British Lions coming to Jersey to train at Strive now. So I think Jersey is on the up in terms of sports. I started off boxing with Alan and Benn up at Boxing Business, then Dave and Big Ben down at LH. I've also boxed on the Leonis show, and it's a fantastic island. There's so much happening for such a small place. It's only 9 by 5 miles, but I'm proud to call it my home. I'm a proud Scotsman, but I'm a Jersey Scot. So just buzzing to have Scotland and the island behind me. Buzzing that I managed to start off in Jersey, and it's a fantastic place. I love it.
Definitely. And obviously a lot of stuff in Jersey as well, people talk about having to kind of get off the rock essentially to make a name for yourself. How hard has it been for you, obviously still having to base yourself in Jersey whilst travelling away and abroad to compete regularly?
Well, like Mark said, before a lot of my fights, I would only have a couple of spars. Sometimes before going into fights, I had no sparring. And to add on top of that, it's hard enough to get a spar being a heavyweight. There's not many of us. So it added a lot of challenges. But like I say, it's my home. So I'm happy to fly the flag. Obviously enough, you need to get off and train, and you need to go off and challenge yourself in different environments. It's part of the sport, wherever you are in the world. So but if you set your mind to it and you push yourself and you've got the right people behind you, like Mark and my coaches, and obviously getting an opportunity like this in a matchroom undercard, anything's possible if you set your mind to it.
Definitely. And just last one from me. In terms of the opportunity this weekend, how big is this opportunity, and how important is it to you that you do put on a top performance in the hope that hopefully you can get on more matchroom undercards in the future?
Listen, I think, like I said, there's no bigger stage to make your professional debut on a fantastic card. Like I say as well, I bring a lot of different people at the party, given my rugby background. There's a lot of people who wouldn't particularly watch boxing before that will be interested in watching boxing now because it's a guy they've watched play rugby. We've got a lot of supporters and a lot of people from the rugby days messaging me, backing me up. So I'm looking forward to bringing them into the arena, getting them when we can get people back in to watch, and also getting them to tune into Sky Sports, whatever it is, to watch me fight. And like I say, I'm here to make a statement. I'm not here to, tick a box. I'm here to make a statement and show everybody that, like Mark said, all the work I've been doing is going to prove well on Saturday night. And yeah, bring it on. Get the rugby lot behind us, the Scottish, the Jersey, everybody. Let's go.
Perfect. Good luck for this weekend, Nick.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Jake. If we go to Danny Flexen next, please.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Danny, how you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. Are there any particular athletes out there that have served as inspiration for you who've transitioned from one sport to another?
Yeah, I actually played with one of them at Glasgow Warriors, Gerwin Price. He came on loan for 6 months from the Newport Gwent Dragons. We had an injury crisis. And Gerwin actually is now I'm sure you're all aware, he's the world darts champion. So, that just shows you a guy who completely transitioned. I know it's not boxing, but just goes to show you it can be done. Curtis Woodhouse is another one. Football to boxing, became a British champion. He actually fought Willie Lemon. I don't think he would beat Willie Lemon, but he still become a British champion. Nobody can never take that away from him. And they're probably the biggest two, the first that come to my mind. Sonny Bill, obviously, over in New Zealand as well, is having another dabble at the boxing. So Sonny Bill, if you're listening and you need any sparring, give me a shout. Be good to get in with Sonny Bill. But now all these guys are an inspiration, do you know what I mean? And it just shows it can be done if you apply yourself.
And on a similar note, anyone that you've played against or with that you think might have the unique talents required to succeed in boxing if they decided to give it a go?
It's an interesting one. Really good mate, to this day, John Welsh. He actually boxed amateur when he was young, still fancies himself, and he tells me quite regularly that if I need any sparring against chubby guys, he's up for it. He's a prop, so he'll be happy that I've gave him a shout out. But listen, I think, a lot of people that watch boxing maybe don't watch much rugby, but it's a very attritional and physical sport, and there's a lot of athletes, real specimens that play the game. And there's a lot of guys who, if they did set their mind to it, no doubt could probably, at least the amateur level, get to national level. Who knows? And I'm sure there's a lot that have crossed over from rugby to boxing that I'm missing out. Like I say, it's the athletic background you get from it, and there's no doubt endless numbers of boys who could probably cross over to boxing if they really wanted to and set their mind to it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick, and best of luck on Saturday night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danny. If you go to Ames next, please.
Ames here from Boxing News. Pleasure to meet you, Nick. How you doing?
How you doing, mate? Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Just a few questions from me. I was reading an article earlier in the week about you having memories of watching Tyson when you were younger.
Yes.
Was that the kind of first moment where you kind of knew that you wanted to be in the sport in some sort of sense? And obviously now later down the line, you're here now.
No, definitely. I mean, boxing's always been an inspiration to me. Even when I was playing rugby, I would get up and watch, the fights in Vegas. I get up and watch Ricky Hatton, get up and watch Lennox Lewis with my dad. Obviously went to Hampden to watch and box Mike Tyson, Louis Alvarez and stuff like that. It's always been an inspiration. That's probably one that sticks out in my mind, even though it only lasted 17 seconds or something like that. But, he was an animal back in the day, and everybody, he was an icon. He still is. So, yeah, without a doubt, probably 10 years old, watching Mike Tyson kill somebody near enough in front of 50,000 people at Hampden was definitely a moment you look at and go, I'd love that to be me in there having a go.
He's still about. He's fighting in exhibitions. It could be in another one. What's your take on those exhibitions?
Do you know what? I think it's brilliant. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're never going to be back and fighting younger guys, but it draws a crowd. It's a spectacle, and I think, definitely something that's good for the sport, brings more people into the sport. And as long as the guys are training fit and healthy and ready to go, then why not? Let's do it.
Do you think, for you, from your perspective, is this the best time to make your debut? You've got no crowd, so you don't have to sell any tickets. You don't have those added pressures. You just have to come and perform on the night.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I say, I've played in front of big crowds before in my rugby days, so I'm prepared for all that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not really too focused on that. I just want to get in there and be professional as possible. Make myself look good on TV, do everybody proud that's backed me, and do myself proud, my family proud. So that's all I'm focused on. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really thinking about there being a crowd, not being a crowd. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But at the end of the day, I just want to get in there and do a job.
And within the British heavyweight scene, who do you rate as the best right now?
It's a hard question, but I suppose we'll find out when Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fight each other. But it's got to be one of those two, without a doubt. So hopefully that gets made shortly and we can all sit back and watch it. I know I'll definitely be tuning in.